You deserved everything you got. This is a union city.
That is a Philadelphia tradition.
Seize the means of podcasting.
Oh, God, the boss has crushed us.
Let me tell you one thing else.
In oldie-timey times,
The pleasure of the flesh is in solidarity.
we will not raw dog reality for that one.
It's going to be wholly unprofessional.
The Scab Buster.
What have we become?
Keep together strong. Let that be your mantra.
Hello and welcome to the Laboria Jontiticus podcast, where we excavate the fossilized amber that contains the mosquito that was stuck in the sap. And using sophisticated techniques, we extract the preserved blood and bingo! History! The working class history of Philadelphia and the surrounding world, to be exact. My name is Dr. Sam James. I'm a paleopodicist. And joining me on this dig site of the past is...
I'm Gabriel Christie, and I can say we spared no expense.
And today, we are going to talk about...
The 1938 garbage collector strike.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we have to occasionally throw things out, like packaging and or food waste and all of that.
And half of the jokes that I tell on this episode, I'm sure.
I mean, I wouldn't say half, but
A quarter.
some.
I'd say a quarter.
Yeah,
But they say
And-
self-censorship is the worst kind of censorship.
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we should be throwing self-censorship out.
Mm.
But when we throw stuff out, you
Mhm.
just kind of put it outside, right?
Yeah. You just
Uh,
leave it on the curb.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially like out of your car window, and someone will clean it up eventually.
Yeah.
But it turns out that when you throw stuff out, it doesn't magically disappear, and there are people who go and pick it up and put it in like big trucks.
Yes,
and then
I've seen
take
them.
it somewhere.
I've seen them do that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 1938,
Are we going to find out where those trucks go?
No. Well, actually, yes.
Oh, I've always wanted to know.
At least where they went in 1938.
Oh, it's not the Great
so-
Barrier Reef yet, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's this lovely place called New Jersey.
Oh,
Well, some of it. Goes
wow,
to
that
New
was
Jersey.
quick, Gabe. We're like a minute in. You're already you're
It's-
already calling Jersey the trash capital of the United States of America. I'm not
It's
saying
a
you're
sandbar.
wrong. I'm just saying you're saying that.
Yeah. So anyway, the guys that do that went on strike in 1938. The guys that drive trash to New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
But we should give a little bit of backstory of how trash collection worked in the 30s.
All right.
Because it has gotten slightly better today than it was then.
Really? All right.
So it all, like in oldie-timey times, you would basically either throw trash down your outhouse pit, or if you didn't have an outhouse pit on your property, you'd throw it out into the street. Which,
Okay.
I mean, both of these were really good for archaeologists, because then we get to like go and look at this stuff.
Or paleoboticists.
Or paleoboticists.
Mhm.
But in the 1760s, it started
1760s. Fuck.
getting- yeah.
Oh
We're
my
going
god,
back.
we got a long way to go in this one, do we?
This will be a long one.
1760s.
So it started getting real smelly and unpleasant.
Okay.
So Benny Franks proposed that the streets should be paved, and then provision should be made for keeping them free of debris and like animal carcasses and rotting vegetables and human waste.
Okay.
So he proposed that, and then 7 fucking years later, they actually did something with that proposal.
All right.
And then the revolution happened, and everything fell apart again.
Oh.
Yeah. So then we didn't have professional or like official sanctioned street cleaning until the 1890s, because New York started doing it, where they would go around and hire a bunch of old men that were too weak to work in the factories.
Mm-hmm.
And gave them brooms and white suits and told them go sweep the streets.
That's great. That's great. Getting the old folks out of the house, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like getting exposed to large street rats and rotting vegetables. That's what all of our grandparents need.
Yeah, they need the exercise. It's like the equivalent today of them walking around the mall before it opens. You know, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, basically. So Philly looked at that and, not to be upstaged, wanted to copy that system.
Mm-hmm. But they use children instead.
Surprisingly not. We're
doing the same thing, but different.
Yeah.
When you go in the other direction.
They did it more corrupt than New York, which is surprising.
That is very surprising.
Except
if you know anything about Philadelphia municipal history, then it's not surprising at all.
Not surprising at all. So instead of it being an actual municipal department, in Philly, the city government would hire private contractors to do all of the cleanup.
Okay.
And this basically meant that if you had a garbage collection business, all you had to do was like bribe a city councilman, and then you were set for life.
Okay.
And that's what everyone did.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's the American way.
And, well, yeah. It's a perfectly good system.
Yeah. That's how Blackwater started out. They were just a garbage collection agency before they,
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Because there were, Vare Street in South Philly?
Okay.
That the Vare brothers made their money in garbage collection in South Philly.
Oh, okay.
And basically ran everything south of Market Street.
Oh, really?
Because the fun part of not only having a bunch of political connections and garbage collection being all tied together is that if you pissed off the Vare brothers, then your neighborhood doesn't get its garbage collected anymore. So
I like this.
You had to do whatever they wanted. And then if you wanted a job in city government, you had to go beg the Vare brothers. And so we had a good solid political machine built on garbage. Which is a very Philly thing to do, I feel.
It is. That's universal. I think not touched on too much, but there is a lot of mob influence, at least back then, when it came to the trash business.
Yeah. No, it was something that it had to get done, so you knew there was going to be a paycheck.
Yeah. So
if you could make it corrupt and make money off of it, then you were set. It's a weird history.
It is. And they got you got the sleeping with the fishes, and you got I think I'm going to take out the trash. I think Vinny and I are going to go take out the trash.
And the weird thing is, early on, you didn't have big trash trucks going through the city picking everything up. You had basically wheelie bins, and then guys would push the wheelie bins, and pick stuff up and put them in there, and then probably dump them off into a horse-drawn wagon or something.
Okay,
but you couldn't just toss a body, into the trash. So,
well, I mean, you can, but you just have to say, bring out your dead beforehand.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and actually, that's probably why the Philly didn't copy the using 80-year-old men system, because we wanted our trash collectors to be able to lift all the bodies that were being killed by the mob.
Yeah, that's very true. That's good, man. They're smart.
Yeah, they were
really
thinking ahead.
Smart people in charge. Yeah.
But everything changed sort of in 1922 when the city went all liberal communist and municipalized garbage collection. So
I appreciate the expediency of the fast forward button on this episode, though, Gabe.
There's going to be a lot.
Okay, I appreciate that.
There will be a lot up until the strike starts, and
Okay.
then
All right.
it'll get very detailed.
Okay.
So then, so they municipalized everything into the Department of Public Works Street Cleaning Bureau, but they didn't get rid of the machine politics. So in order to get a job in the Street Cleaning Bureau, you still had to go and like bow down to whatever city councilman held the purse strings for that session. So the only thing that changed was that your paycheck was coming from the city rather than a private business owner. And aside from that, the system kind of remained the same.
Yeah. Well, you get that city pension too.
Probably not in 22.
Oh man, you just said they're commie liberals, though.
Well,
sure
yeah, but
sure there's a pension program in place.
Probably. You probably had to like bribe someone for twice the amount of what your pension would eventually be, and then you get your pension.
Oh,
so
I mean, you get other kinds of protection.
Mm-hmm.
You get the protection of the trash men.
Yeah.
We're going to recycle your life. That means you're in good graces with the mafia. I know my terms, Gabe. I know my terms, buddy.
Oh, I know. You're Roxborough born and bred. So.
I'm connected to the Roxborough mafia.
You go and meet at Bob's Diner every Monday.
Yeah, three guys rolling loosies on the porch.
Yeah. But so now we're going to fast forward again to 1938.
Okay.
And so they had, and it was the Depression, and things weren't great. But the garbage collectors had, there were about 5,000 of them, and they had a decent job throughout most of the Depression. Like it was at least steady income. But they had been watching all of the, all of the private sector guys organize and form unions over the past like 6 or 7 years, and kind of figured they want to do that too.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I should also talk about, the conditions that they faced on the job.
You are pardoned.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Father.
Motherfucker, sister, brother. Motherfucker, sister, brother. Got to bring that one back.
Yes. Yeah, so they were working really long hours. Their day started before sunup, and then they basically worked the whole day because they had to load all of the trucks, then bring everything to the dumps, and then unload everything, and then restow it. They were also still using horse-drawn carts at this point. It was a weird mix of like big pickup trucks and horse-drawn carts.
Yeah. In 1938 too. Wow.
Yeah. So they also didn't just pick up trash, especially in the winter months. They had to haul coal ash because everyone was using coal to heat their furnaces or heat their houses. So you were literally hauling tons of coal ash every day.
We're hauling ash.
Yeah. So you'd end up like totally covered in soot and probably breathing all of that in every day and hacking up a lung. Not to mention the fact that you were probably too poor to afford like good winter clothes while you were doing all of this.
True.
So they wanted to organize. They initially wanted to organize with the Teamsters. They actually did briefly organize with the Teamsters. And then Mayor Sam Wilson convinced them that they should instead set up an independent municipal workers union. So
Okay.
Rather than having the Teamsters to back them up, they decided to become an independent union.
Okay.
Which Wilson probably... Sorry?
Did Wilson have his hands full with houses falling on poor black families at this point, or was that later?
No, yeah, it was 36. So he was actively fighting Grace Kelly's dad.
Yeah.
Trying desperately to keep his job. Then, so what that ended up meaning was that the garbage collectors weren't associated with any of the larger internationals. So they didn't have like a lot of money to fall back on or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so in 1938, on September 26th, 1938, the city government laid off 264, although later that got reported as 267. And I'm not sure which the right number is.
Well, I think we should stop this episode until we find the right answer.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
I need to drive to Temple University because they have all of the records. So, anyway, so they fired 264 workers.
Or 267 workers.
Or 267. Then that pissed off the other like 5,000 workers who didn't like seeing their friends get fired. So they started agitating and pushing for city government to hire them. And city government...
Why did they get fired? Just money reason? You don't know?
City council was saying that they were running low on funds. This was also like 38 was when the city started to roll back all the New Deal stuff. So there were a lot of programs that were getting cut, and basically they were going back into austerity. Which was pissing everyone off, unsurprisingly. So this was just part of that, of like, we're tired of being nice to people. We're just going to start screwing over all of the workers again.
I'm glad they're going back to the roots.
Yeah, I mean, you keep the traditions alive.
Yeah.
It's important. So, they agitated and were pushing city government to hire them back. City government wasn't listening. So then on October 5th, 1938, all 19 district leaders of the Independent Municipal Workers Union met at the Moose Hall at Broad and Master Streets up on North Broad and voted on whether or not to go on strike for rehiring those 264 sanitation workers.
You're keeping me in suspense. Okay.
And also I had forgotten to mention that was a Friday. They had also that was also their payday, and they were told that they were only getting 69% of their total pay for the last 2 weeks because city government was just like, we just don't have the money. So so they wanted their full pay, and the strike sort of started because all of the most of the workers refused to take their paychecks when they found out that they had a 31% cut.
That'll work. Hey, you keep the money.
Yeah,
and like, okay.
Well, okay,
all right, yeah. You sure showed us.
So in a vote of 200 or 2,500 to 300, 13 of the 19 districts declared that they would go on strike starting at 6 a.m. the next day. So October 6th comes around.
Boom, boom.
And Mayor Sam Wilson, so the strike starts, and no garbage is getting collected.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayor Sam Wilson was very unhappy. He gave a press conference and declared that it was a rebellion against the government. and then ordered the police and fire department out to protect government buildings, and basically anticipated like a war starting.
Because the trash men went on strike?
Yeah.
They're like, fucking banging down the houses, bang down the fucking houses.
Yeah. Well,
It's a rebellion.
He was probably still skittish after having like the entire Philadelphia Communist Party outside of his office because he needed to do something about all of the poor black people that kept getting killed by their houses falling on them.
He's still reeling from those fights with Grace Kelly's dad.
Yeah.
He's like, I could have fought back. I could have fought better. I could have been a contender. While he's out there, re-elect Mayor Samuel Wilson.
So, it wasn't just garbage collectors. It was also horseshoers, saddlers, harness makers, and other maintenance workers.
The fuck are they still doing around? How do these people still have a job? Because the trash is the last surviving horse-drawn business,
basically.
Isn't it?
The only people that didn't go on strike were the stable workers, who were allowed to go back into work because they had to go feed and take care of the horses.
Yeah, because the horses were back in the stables. They weren't just empty stables. So, yeah. Well, good. I'm happy for their stable workers.
Yeah.
It's not a very stable job, but it's so stupid.
For the garbage collector, or for the streets bureau, it is, because that's the only place that has horse-drawn carts. There was probably, actually, I'm sure there was some horseshoer who worked for the streets department that remembered the
with the way this city is run, I'm sure there's at least one horse that is employed by the trash,
probably
by the streets department, I'm sure there's one horse left somewhere just in case.
That should be SEPTA's new solution for when buses break down. They just hook a team of horses to the front of it and pull the bus.
How many Clydesdale does it take to pull a bendy bus, I
don't know, but we should find out.
That's called animal cruelty, Gabe.
Yeah, that's true. Peter would not be happy.
Fuck Peter. It's going on Spike TV tomorrow.
Yeah. Then getting back to slightly on topic, the next day on the 7th, the city announced, and specifically Mayor Wilson announced, that he was declaring a state of emergency and would hire 2,000 men to replace the strikers, not just during the strike, but permanently. Because he was arguing that the strikers weren't legally allowed to go on strike. So when they walked off the job, he said that they were effectively giving up their employment and quitting.
I don't like Sammy Wills. I don't like this guy.
He's a bit of a dick. Which that point will come up again later. And also because it's Philadelphia politics, they were also doing this super corruptly. So it wasn't just like we're opening up an employment office and the best qualified people can come in to replace the strikers. Basically, you had free job cards that were being handed out by city officials and specifically Democratic Party officials.
Oh, nice.
So they would go around to all of the unemployed people in their district and just be like, hey, if you vote for me, here's a stable city job.
Pick up the garbage and you can put more garbage in public government. So go on, let's do it. Should have just hired the old guys from New York.
Yeah. So they also hired, or the first cards were actually sent to the 264-7 guys who got fired.
Really?
Kind of adds insult to injury.
Well, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was a weird one. That was a weird choice. But I think they were trying to argue, or they were trying to be like, they were probably trying to show that those guys didn't actually want to come back to work because they knew that they would refuse it out of solidarity with the strike that was going on so that they could get rehired.
It would have been funny if they actually took the jobs and they're walking back in through the strike line and they see all the guys who went on strike because they got fired. They're like,
be a little awkward.
I got a free job card.
Yeah. Yeah, so that it was a very corrupt and like real fucked up way of trying, like, I mean, obviously strike breaking is already kind of fucked up and corrupt, but they found a way to make it worse, which that's the kind of political forward thinking that I like in my city.
That's what I was like, yeah, it's, but I like it though, you know?
Yeah.
In kind of an evil way.
Yeah.
Kind of like, if I was a piece of garbage, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah. You should at least be like an inventively shitty person.
Exactly, yeah.
So
it shows you're putting effort into it, into being a horrible person.
Yeah.
Which I try to accomplish every day of my life.
I think you need to work harder on it. I think you're a very
thanks,
good
Gabe.
person. So
I hate you so much.
No, I love you, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
So in response to that, other garbage collectors who worked for the private company Garlic Brothers.
Sorry, what? The Garlic Brothers? Why is it all the brothers? Why is it just brothers who own trash companies?
That's actually a good question.
It's like the Martini Brothers.
I'm assuming every single one of these companies was like so deeply corrupt that you couldn't trust anyone outside of your immediate family to be involved in decision making.
You went against the family, Tony Marinara. You went against the family.
It's garbage, but it's a very clean business. So
look what they did to my boy.
I'm just doing Godfather quotes until you're ready.
Okay. Which one got? Yeah, so garbage collectors working for Garlic Brothers, who were organized with Teamsters Local 470, joined the strike.
Okay.
But then 100 private garbage collectors who purchased like a license to pick up food waste from the city, which is a weird license to have. And so, but their business was they would haul the food waste out to hog farms in like rural PA and over to New Jersey, which is where the New Jersey connection comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys didn't join the strike. And there were like some newspaper reports about them getting harassed by the strikers. Because basically anyone who was like even picking up litter was getting yelled at.
Wow.
By these strikers. But so like on the 7th, at least, everything was pretty peaceful. The city still hadn't sent out its 2,000 men that they had hired. The 2,000 strikebreakers. So there was garbage everywhere, and there were big buckets of coal ash, like stacking everywhere on the streets or on street corners. But so far, nothing violent had happened. But that changed on the 8th, when it started at 7 a.m. The 2,000 men that Wilson had hired went out to collect garbage in West Philly. They almost immediately ran into, like throughout the whole day, they ran into just roving bands of strikers who were walking around the city looking for looking for strike breakers. And throughout
Roving
the day,
bands of garbage collectors on strike.
yeah.
That's a sight to behold.
Oh yeah.
I need an oil painting of that to hang above my bed.
I'm really annoyed that there wasn't more footage, or there weren't more photographs of this. Because there's lots of pictures of like stacks of garbage and the strike breakers being escorted by cops, but I want a picture of like a roving band of strikers.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Can we commission somebody? Can someone write us in who's good with art and just like commission? We will pay you money. We will literally pay you numerous amounts of dollar bills to make an oil painting or anything of your choice of these garbage collectors on strike.
I would love to see that. So the roving bands of garbage collectors had
that's my new band name. I call it.
They overturned 25 garbage trucks by the end of the day, and then started throwing bricks and rocks at the cops who were protecting the trucks.
Okay.
So, and throughout the day, there were like, sorry,
it hasn't gotten violent yet, though, right?
Not terribly.
No, we're good.
Yeah, just a couple.
Are they tipping over the horse-drawn carts? Like, are the horse going with it, or is it just the cart going over and the horse is just like, well, fuck?
I think it's just the cart going over. We'll get into it a little bit later.
Okay. I'm sorry,
but there were like small skirmishes and battles that would pop up across West Philly the whole day. The biggest one was near 44th and Wallace, where the cops had gotten a whole bunch of the strike breakers lined up, and they formed a column.
All right.
And were getting ready to go collect garbage. And so if you can imagine like a garbage convoy getting ready to go. So all of the carts were lined up in the middle of the street, single file. There were cops on motorcycles on either side.
My God.
Then, so they were getting ready to like go and start. But the way it all worked was the cart drivers would pull up. They would dismount and go stand in the back, or go stand in the cart. And then they had two assistants on either side of the street who would go pick up the buckets of ash or trash and toss it up to the guy or to the driver standing in the wagon. So the moment this convoy of garbage collectors dismounted, strikers showed up from all of the alleys and like behind cars and probably behind some of the doors and whatnot, and just like swarmed the convoy from both sides. But they specifically weren't attacking the strike breakers. They would pull them off of the carts and then tip the cart over and then run along to the next one. They were attacking the cops. And grabbing bricks and rocks and chucking them at them.
How is this not? If this was set in New York, this would have been a Martin Scorsese movie by now. You know that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It most definitely would have been.
Yeah.
I can see like a Gangs of New York-esque battle scene with this.
The fact that this isn't a movie is Philadelphia Erasure.
Mm-hmm.
So we should get a movie made of this.
All right, let's get M. Night Shyamalan on this right now.
Can we pick a decent director?
Hey,
I mean,
we're talking about The Happening was the greatest film of the 21st century so far.
I think we need Danny DeVito to direct this.
He directed Hoffa, I think.
Yeah.
So, so he has a little bit of, Teamsters, mafia, union, mob-led kind of clout with his directing so far. So yeah, okay, I'm okay.
I think
I'm
he
okay
could
with
do
that.
good work with it.
I'm okay with that. As long as he plays every single character,
Yes,
including Sammy Wilson
yes, and the horses.
and the horses. That goes without saying.
So while they were tipping all these carts over, some of the horses got spooked and bolted. So then a chase ensued where cops on motorcycles chased after the horses for about a mile. And then finally got them corralled at 42nd and Market. And the cops were like totally taken by surprise and overwhelmed. So they basically weren't able to do anything to defend the column. So that was the biggest battle. And I will say the only like real casualty that I was able to find was there was one boy who I think they said he was 13 years old. His name was Martin Nell, and he was basically just watching this fight ensue, peeking around the corner because he probably lived like on 44th or something. And so he was just watching this huge battle ensue, and he got hit in the head with a brick and knocked unconscious. So that wasn't good. But that was the only casualty that the city or that the newspapers reported on from that day.
You got a hell of a story to tell at every single bar you go to the rest of your life, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. Later in the day, the police managed to find 40 carts and drivers, and like got them all gathered at 49th and Parish Streets. By this point, the strike breakers had like some of them had managed to actually collect some garbage. Most hadn't. Most were like half full of coal ash.
Yeah.
But some were completely empty.
I have a feeling, but back then, like, there wasn't that much waste as opposed to now. I mean, there's like no packaging. There's no plastic packaging, one use kind of, wrappers and stuff like that. So I would think coal ash would probably be the bulk of their collections, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of like cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
You can see in some of the pictures, there's actually a lot of people, instead of having like a galvanized steel trash bin or even a plastic trash bin or anything like that, they would have half barrels. And so you'd see those like stacked up outside.
Okay.
There's usually probably a lot of like potato peels or other food waste like that.
Yeah.
So, because there's also a lot of pictures of stray dogs eating out of these. So I'm assuming it was a lot of food waste.
Good timing.
I know.
Good timing.
He knows.
Good job, Flynn.
No, now you need to be quiet.
You cut off his balls 2 days ago, man. Let him. Let him.
That's fair. Well, he should be scared of us now, but he's pretty resilient. So
first you're on the horses, now you're after your dog. God damn it.
Yep.
PETA is definitely gonna have a word with us after this.
Oh, 100%.
Bring it, motherfuckers. Steve Irwin was a fucking god. The assholes.
So they got these 40 carts all together, and they were going to start a convoy all the way down to the 69th Street dump, which is at 69 or was at 69th and Lindbergh, which was like 4.5 or 5 miles away. And sorry.
That's the second time that the number 69 has come up in this episode, Gabe.
That's true. It's a very nice episode.
Do you need to you got something to say?
I mean,
you promoting something?
Not
are you
until we find out.
Are you QAnoning us right now with the number 69?
Yes. On the 69th day of January.
What will happen?
Something will happen.
Okay.
Something.
I'll be waiting with bated breath for that.
Good. So
unless I get moose jaw, then I will not be able to participate. I'm sorry.
Too many cell phones going off. So then, so basically they had to go through 4 miles of war zone to get to the dump. And almost immediately, the column got surrounded by a crowd of locals, who were calling out to the drivers, telling them to get off or to dismount and come join the strikers. And some of them actually did just get off the carts and go join the picket line. Which I don't know what happened to their horses after they did that. But
yeah, I would love to see someone try to stand and deliver a trash collector, though. You know what I mean?
I have some potato skins and a banana peel. What do you want?
I want all your lupins.
Oh, that was one of the best episodes. So the rest moved on. It was probably about 30 left or so. So basically the whole of West Philly at this point was siding with the strikers, so they were getting harassed the entire time. And random citizens would jump on the back of the carts and then open up the gate so that it would spill out all of the coal ash.
I can't see that happening today. I see the complete opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your trash isn't collected, I see people getting just pissed at the collectors.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see this kind of solidarity right now. If this
considering we had armed citizens going to defend the Target in South Philly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of class consciousness going on anymore. So, at least not in certain parts of the city.
Well, that's the problem when you start, because we used to dump the trash in Jersey, but now we're dumping it in the Great Barrier Reef. See, we got to localize it more. We got to bring it back to our roots.
We got to stop outsourcing the dumps.
Yeah, we got to start dumping it back in Jersey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, actually, fun fact, we do outsource our trash. We outsource it up to Pennsbury.
Do we really?
North on Delaware.
Oh, okay.
There is a one maritime facility or one marine facility that I've had to inspect before, and it's basically just a waterside dump. Where
is it? Pennsbury, the once home of William Penn?
Yes, it's not that property, but it's that.
It's his. Township. It's literally his property. It's his house.
Yeah. It's you look out his backyard and it's just a big fucking pile of trash. So after they tried to get this whole column down to the dump, they got harassed the entire way. And by the end of it, only 3 out of the 40 carts actually made it to the dump. Okay. And of those 3, only 2 of them actually dumped anything. The third guy just kept going and probably joined the strike. So I don't know what 38 out of 40
I appreciate that last guy though, going all the way to the dump and just being like, "Psych, fuck you."
He was very indecisive. I had to wait till the very last minute. So throughout that day, the cops also arrested about 70 strikers and held some of them at the 61st and Thompson police station. And once the locals found out that was happening, 100 people gathered out front of the police station, started booing the cops and yelling insults at them.
We don't boo cops enough.
No, we don't. Union leaders were trying to get in to get the strikers freed, but the cops were saying that they were being detained for questioning, because no charges had been filed against them yet. So they told the union leaders that they can't release them until charges are filed against them, because then you can post bail.
What?
But if no files are charged against them, they can
What?
just hold them for questioning indefinitely.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
they're in legal limbo.
yeah, they were pulling some
There was
shit.
this banana peel we sell on the side of the road. We got to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Eventually.
One of our motorcycle cops ran over it and sped off into a trash can, and the trash wasn't picked up.
I love how little horses. The horse is just like looking at these motorcycle cops like, motherfucker, you could be pulling this cart. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It does not need to be me.
All of the motorcycle cops also had sidecars, which is one of my favorite parts about this.
They could have been picking up the garbage in the sidecar.
Yeah. You just get one of the little pokers and
just off the side.
Yeah.
Wasted opportunity.
So the strikers in the jail, because they also had too many people, or they had more people than cells, so they were holding them like in the lobby of the police station.
Can you just wait in the lobby? Oh, we're charging you with murder, but can you wait in the lobby for a minute?
Yeah, just sit down. It's fine. So they started chanting and demanding to be let out, and they were demanding to be fed because the cops hadn't fed them yet. And the cops were ignoring them. And basically, like, that went on for the whole day. But then finally, as night fell, the crowds dispersed, and both cops and strikers regrouped for the next day. And I'm not positive where this fits into the timeline, but it did get mentioned that the city government was concerned that other municipal departments, especially the water department, might join the strikers.
Okay.
Because the water department was the water bureau, pardon me.
The water bureau, of course. Yes.
Was organized in the same union.
Okay.
But so far, they didn't have any grievances, so they weren't joining the strike. Wasn't clear. But there was mention that, like, the government or the city government wanted to get this done really quick because they didn't want it to escalate anymore.
Yeah.
So, the next few days basically saw more violence and clashes, like the 7th, or like the 8th, rather. On the 9th, the police learned a little bit and sent, rather than having their escorts immediately just having escorts with the columns of garbage carts, they sent like whole police squads out in front of the column to clear the streets.
And they put machine guns on the sidecar.
Yeah, probably, honestly. But there were still some like weird incidents that happened. For instance, the strikers in 3 separate cars were trailing the Route 43 trolley because it was going to one of the trash or the sanitation department garages. So they knew that like this was how guys were getting to work. So they were following the trolley. And then when they saw strikebreakers getting off, they jumped out of their cars and rushed them and just started punching them. So then the cops came in and broke up the skirmish. But they had probably gotten their point across. That
I don't think that it wasn't much of a skirmish. He's going to just fucking sucker punch people getting off of public transportation.
Yeah, which I will also say, like, that's just a Philly tradition.
Yeah, that is a Philly.
I almost got ran over getting off the 61 when I lived in East Falls, where or 57, 61. No, it was the 61. 57 was South Philly. The bus didn't pull over into the bus lane.
Okay.
And so I was getting off, and then someone swerved into the bus lane to make a right-hand turn. And so, like, as I stepped off the bus, their mirror clipped me.
Well, it's nice to know. It's nice to know that we evolved into getting sucker punched by Volvos now.
Yeah, it was a Volkswagen. It wasn't a Volvo.
That was close. That was close.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, so that was one weird little bit. There were also a lot of women that joined in the fights. And it was both like the strikers' wives, and I'm not positive there was an auxiliary formed, but I would imagine so. But there were also just a lot of very pro-union women who were more than happy to throw a brick at a cop. There were a number of women that got arrested. They generally protested that their civil rights were being infringed upon because they were claiming it's part of their First Amendment right to hurl or to yell insults at cops.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that's fair enough.
It is, yeah.
And there was one woman who had the best freaking headline that I've ever seen in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Let me pull up her name again because I have it in my notes. Frances Long, who was 21, girl from a young lady from Germantown. Specifically, she lived on Rittenhouse Street near Osceola. And she was arrested on the 10th and charged $5 for, and I quote, calling the police bad names. That was literally the charge that she was given.
Okay.
Her headline was, she called the police bad names, which is my favorite Philadelphia Inquirer headline.
I love that.
Yep. I think on the books, it was probably recorded as like disorderly conduct or something, but the judge literally said that she called the police bad names. So
they should bring that back, actually, I think.
Yes. We need like much sillier reasons for people to get arrested.
Yeah.
But also on the 10th, the AFL, the American Federation of Labor, pledged support to the strikers, saying that they couldn't affiliate with them while they were on strike because they said that would be like bad manners or something. But AFL workers wouldn't cross the picket line.
So polite back then.
Yeah.
Saying bad names to the police and just, it's not very polite.
No. So I think that changed because by the end of the strike, the workers were organized with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, or AFSCME.
AFSCME.
So that not only opened up a lot more money for their strike fund, but also meant that they had basically like the whole of the AFL backing them up.
Yeah.
And this then became the first like major municipal workers strike in American history.
Ah. Okay.
So there were also one of the interesting things that kept showing up in this strike that though both the workforce and the union were very racially diverse, And the only reason I know that is because the Inquirer made a point of noting whenever someone who was arrested was black.
Oh,
Because 1930s?
are you okay?
I lost my train of thought now.
Racism does that, Gabe. Racism does that.
Yeah, so basically throughout the whole strike, the city was covered in trash, coal ash, dust, and debris, which was like a public health nightmare. And there was on, I think, the 13th, there was like a full page editorial that came out imploring the city to solve the strike and get everything cleaned up. They weren't saying negotiate with the strikers.
Yeah, thanks. They were just like, hey, let's solve this problem. It's like, oh, thanks. Thanks for the insight. I appreciate that.
Great job.
Thanks for throwing your hat into the ring.
Yeah.
We never thought about that. Solving this? What?
What? By the 11th, they were actually starting to negotiate. And Mayor Wilson sat down and talked to the union reps.
Okay.
It looked like the things might actually move forward, but the union was trying to get all of the strikers rehired, and the mayor said no. Because he was claiming that he was still going back to the whole thing that once they went on strike, they gave up their jobs.
Yeah, okay.
Which
he already gave out the free job cards, so
yeah,
you can't take those back.
Which I think that was not only him just being a dick, it was also that he recognized he had just dug himself a hole.
Yeah.
So he also said that every strike breaker or every striker would get rehired on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Which the union wasn't happy about.
Okay, the city is going to go through, did you say 5,000 or 2,000 strikers?
I think there were 2,000 on strike.
The city of Philadelphia is going to go through 2,000 case by case.
Yeah, they're not hiring anybody.
I'm sure they're not done now. They're on the 8th person right now. They're like, all right, we'll hire Joe Brown back. Oh, he died in 1952. Oh, fuck. Yeah. He's got any grandkids? Don't look up if Joe Brown has grandkids, Gabe.
I'm not going to, but I was going to say, if he does have grandkids, they are legally required to vote Democrat for the rest of their lives because their great great grandfather supposedly got a job.
Yeah, right.
I
didn't know your voting choices were grandfathered in. The grandfather clause of the Democratic Party.
That's how it works. So while these negotiations were going on, there were still fights and street fights and skirmishes going on everywhere. And 900 highway workers joined the strike and walked off the job in sympathy. So basically, their initial fears about other municipal departments joining started to come true, and the whole city just started to shut down. I should also say, while all of this was going on, there was also the taxi driver strike.
Oh my God.
So you couldn't get anywhere. Well, you could still take the PTC, the Philly Transit Company, but you couldn't take a cab anywhere, and your trash wasn't getting collected. So the middle class people were very upset.
Oh no.
It's not, you don't want to piss them off. But on the 14th, after 8 days of violence, City Council finally convened a special session and came to an agreement with the union where they would rehire all of the workers laid off in September.
Okay.
They would transfer $54,000 from discretionary funds to the Department of Public Works budget to bring everyone back on. But Mayor Wilson was still fighting that the men on strike had basically given up their jobs.
Jesus, let it go, Sammy. Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it,
he
man.
was being a dick. So he was saying that he legally couldn't rehire them because they gave up their job. So that's fine. But at this point, these the Pennsylvania Civil Service Commission was getting involved.
The piss kip?
Yeah.
Mm.
They
Civil Service Commission. The piss kick.
the PICSIC.
The piss kicks.
PICSIC.
Those guys.
PCSC. Yeah. But so the president of the Civil Service Commission, Thaddeus Daly.
Sorry.
Great name.
Sorry, what? Gabe, do you Thaddeus Daly?
I do Thaddeus Daly.
I used to, but then I got married. But now I Thaddeus yearly, maybe monthly. If it's my birthday, it's monthly. You know.
There you go. But continuing the tradition of people named Thaddeus being like generally okay, because the only other Thaddeus I know is Thaddeus Stevens, so I'm assuming that all Thaddeus's
okay.
all Thaddeus are okay. So he had Thaddeus Daly was arguing that because Mayor Wilson had basically done an emergency direct hire of the strikebreakers, and the emergency was over, that the strikebreakers, or he no longer had the authority to keep the strikebreakers employed.
Okay.
So he was saying that the Pennsylvania Civil Service Commission was coming in and being like, no, you have to rehire all of these strikers, and you have to fire all of the strike breakers.
Yeah.
So I remember correctly because I had found a newspaper article that detailed it, and then I couldn't find it again, and it was frustrating me. But basically, they came up with a system where for every strike breaker that they hired, they would rehire one striker.
Okay.
So it was like a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah.
So the strikers mostly all got their jobs back, but they compromised on whether or not they were going to get back pay. Because that was the other part of Mayor Wilson saying, well, you gave up your job.
Yeah, you didn't have a job at the time. Why are we going to pay you?
Yeah. So they gave up their back pay, but they got their jobs back.
Okay.
And they lost a week of pay. And they also were getting their jobs back at 100% of their pay rate, not 69%.
Not 69.
Yeah. They also had to sign a no strike pledge.
Okay.
Yeah. What was now AFSCME Local 470, because the Teamsters 470, I think, got wrapped into this.
Okay.
They said that they would only ever arbitrate disputes and would never strike again. That wasn't necessarily true.
Yeah.
But at least for like the rest of Sam Wilson's term, they didn't go back on strike. But after all of this happened, District Council 33 went on to, so AFSCME Local 470 is organized within AFSCME District Council 33, which is the blue-collar workers in Philadelphia, for blue-collar municipal workers. So, like 470 is trash collectors or streets department. 222 is Parks and Recreation, which I actually just bought another set of union pins for, is in 1938 to 1941. AFSCME Local 222. I'm excited about that. because it has the tower from City Hall on it.
Ah, okay.
So they're pretty cool. So like Local 222 is the like I said, Parks and Rec. 470 is streets. There's a couple other ones for like highway department and stuff like that.
There will be a quiz later, right?
Yes.
On these numbers, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm writing them all down.
But District Council 33 then went on to like push for some actual reforms so that you weren't getting hired by political favors.
Yeah.
You had to go through a civil service exam.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't Tony Marinara who works for the Garlic Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, now it was Tony Marinara. He just had to take a test. So
Tony Marinara cannot read.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess you do kind of need to read to pick up trash because you need to know like streets.
You just need to know numbers.
Yeah.
You just need to know numbers. You just listen to this podcast. It's all about numbers.
It's true.
You're in number 33, AFSME 25698.
What was the one local that had 5 digits in it?
They don't exist anymore for good reasons, Gabe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
local 17.
There's no need for a local to have 30,712.
Yeah.
Remember when the Nazi Party started off their numbers by like being Nazi member 117 or something to make themselves look a little bigger?
I was never a member of the Nazi Party, so I don't remember that.
I wasn't accusing you of being the Nazi Party, Gabe. I was just asking you if you remember, if you recall that moment. Why are you being like this to me?
No.
Why are you being so confrontational? I wasn't calling you, Gabe. Have you ever been a member of the Nazi Party?
Not the Nazi Party specifically.
Gabe, can I just say that is the most suspect phrase I've ever heard. What is the Nazi Party unspecifically?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, I was a member of the Nazi Party unspecifically. Like,
yes. Well, it's like
I'm going to need you to name names.
It's like the real IRA and the provisional IRA. You have the specific Nazi Party and the unspecific Nazi Party.
Yeah, but they were general IRA, you know what I mean?
That's true.
So, okay, Gabe. All right.
Yeah, so that was the 1938 part. I don't know where the hell we ended up. It was a cool strike.
Yeah, that was Gabe. That was literally trash.
It was trash.
That was literally an hour and a half of trash.
Yes. But cool trash, because it was cold in October.
Yes, and it was that episode was like a half a barrel full of potato peelings and coal ash.
Yep.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was hot garbage.
Hey, this is Gabe, and thanks for listening to the Labor John podcast. So for now, we live in a system called capitalism. And under this system, you have to exchange currency for goods and or services. And to that end, Sam and I put a lot of time, effort, and a fair chunk of our own money into keeping this podcast available and generally free. And if you'd like to help support us doing that, you can give us some money at patreon.com/LaborJohn. And if you choose to do so, we'll give you a fancy button every year, some cool merch, and an extra episode once a month, whenever possible, because life is hard, because capitalism. Anyway, we'd really appreciate your support if you've got a few bucks to spare. Also, if you happen to be a member of a union, and you want your fellow union members to learn about local labor history, we do commission work, like presentations, pamphlets, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds cool, you can shoot us an email at laborjohn@gmail.com, or contact us through laborjohn.com, or message us on social media, or whatever's most convenient for you. But If that sounds interesting, feel free to reach out. And anyway, thanks for listening. Solidarity. Have fun.